Welcome into the Cowboys Report, Casa Downey edition, because it is my off day, technically speaking. But there's some news, not good news, that we got to get to for the Dallas Cowboys. Two more starters entering the COVID-19 protocols for Dallas, due, of course, to positive tests. Left tackle Tyron Smith and starting cornerback Anthony Brown. Both of these players have tested positive. With the timing of it, technically speaking, they could test negative and then return to the field and be able to play against Philadelphia. It's really not going to happen. Mike McCarthy said today Micah Parsons was out. He's not even going to travel to Philadelphia for the Saturday game. With the timing of Smith, the timing of Anthony Brown, and potentially more coming, with McCarthy saying several players aren't feeling great right now despite testing negative, and given the way we know this particular variant for COVID travels, there could be more positive tests coming in the coming days for Dallas. But in the immediate right now, Tyron Smith, left tackle, out. Anthony Brown, out. And of course, Micah Parsons now formally out as well for the Dallas Cowboys, as they will be a bit thinner than what they would like to be, although I'll also make note Philadelphia right now dealing with some similar things on their end, and at least it's not the playoffs. I'll try to put somewhat of a positive spin on that front. Would be a lot worse from an on-the-field point if this were to come during the postseason. Hopefully this ends. I think I speak for many of you, and it's tiring, and we're all kind of over it at this point. So, watching on YouTube, type in F if you guys are just over the COVID right now. You want it to stop. And hopefully it does come playoff time, because it's just it impacts the game way more than what we would like, impacts normal life more than we would like. So type in F in the comments if you just want it to stop. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. So that ad break comes on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and flood it with Fs for me. Let's go player by player now with the particular impact it's going to have. Tyron Smith, not going to go against Philly. Again, in theory, all these guys should be back with plenty of time for the playoffs. That's what Mike McCarthy said. And given the way this particular variant works, should be okay. And I don't want to be dismissive of COVID at all. Not what I'm trying to do. But from an on-field focus, which is what you guys are here for, this is the Cowboys report, not the medical license report after all. Rather now than come, a week from now as you're getting ready to take on whoever you're taking on in the first round of the postseason. I do think that avoiding COVID cases is going to be a big deal for playoff teams. After all, your quarterback hasn't gotten it yet. Knock on wood. That's like the worst case outcome. God forbid that ends up happening. So hopefully that does not end up being the case. Back to Tyron Smith. Curious how the Cowboys plan to replace him. What they've been doing when he was battling that ankle injury, and more rest probably won't hurt as long as he's able to stay in shape, while he's probably not doing that much as he battles COVID. I'm curious if they go with Nsekhe and Terence Steele, or maybe just Terence Steele this week in a game that isn't as impactful for where the Cowboys currently sit overall. They seem to trust Nsekhe more as a pass protector on the left side, which I kind of find interesting. They'll might do that rotation. Dangerous game to play because it does kind of telegraph what you're doing on offense to an extent. So we'll see. I think they'll be okay at left tackle for a singular game. I think it does start to bring up the questions of, hey, you're down your left tackle, your running backs are a bit banged up, you're down your corner, your best defensive player in Micah Parsons. Do you really want to go all out in this particular matchup? Not really sure on that one. So we'll see. What I do know is we'll be live for the Cowboys-Eagles game. Whoever ends up being out there, we'll break it down for you guys. We'll do our live play-by-play post-game reaction as well. Have some fun on top of that. So if you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe. That way you don't miss out on anything right here at the Dallas Cowboys Report. Let's go to Anthony Brown now. And I know the initial reaction was, yay, Kelvin Joseph gets the start. He was, I think, already going to start in this game. The Cowboys made that switch against Arizona. Anthony Brown shifts inside to nickel. Jourdan Lewis goes to the bench, went to the bench against the Cardinals. So I think you're going to see Kelvin Joseph out there. Now I know you're going to see Kelvin Joseph back out there on the outside. Hasn't been tested that much, but has looked really good in a very small sample size. It's a really big deal for the Cowboys, by the way. Jourdan Lewis was not good against Arizona. 6 targets, 6 catches allowed. Got beat pretty badly on a Christian Kirk route. So I think for this game, Diggs, Joseph on the outside. Jourdan Lewis lined up in the nickel. I think you'll see Maurice Kennedy active after being inactive last week. Maybe you see some more Nsekhe Wright, especially if the Cowboys don't want to, throw Diggs out there for 100% of the snaps in a less meaningful game than, last week's game, for example. So, you're going to see Kelvin Joseph out there. If he plays well again, I would assuming Anthony Brown comes back 100%, which he should be able to, that you will see Kelvin Joseph on the outside, Anthony Brown in there, and win a majority of the time nickel package anyway for the Dallas Cowboys. So if you're ready for more Kelvin Joseph, type in KJ for me in the comments section. Again, it's been a small sample size so far, but impressive is very much been the case so far. And if you can go with Diggs, Joseph, and Brown, not necessarily in that order, that would be your 3 best guys at corner this year. Brown has not been as bad as some of you want to say, and he's outplayed Jourdan Lewis. But if Kelvin Joseph plays the way he has, well, you got to get him on the field. So type in KJ if you're ready for more Kelvin Joseph for the Dallas Cowboys. I'll make this note as well. This is from Mike McCarthy's press conference earlier this morning. The Cowboys have said, and McCarthy said, I really should say, more players are feeling under the weather at this point, have not tested positive. So I would venture to say we'll get that list when the injury report comes out and they're listed as DNP or limited illness, non-COVID. I'll make note that Quinton Bohanna had that last week, had an illness, wasn't placed on the COVID list, then eventually was placed on the COVID list. So this might not be the end of the COVID impacts for the Cowboys, which is not great. Would much rather have it not be an issue, of course. But in terms of the short-term impact, again, you'd rather have it now. If you've got to have it, of course, the ideal option is don't have it at all, right? But with the way this is working for the country, just kind of stuck with it, I think. We'll see. From that perspective, I think it'll be okay against Philadelphia. Not the most impactful game. It should be a game the Cowboys should still win, right? Like, Philly's not that great of a football team. Even then, they're dealing with it as well. So, if the Cowboys try their hardest, they should win that football game. So, I want you guys now to predict the score for me of the Cowboys against the Philadelphia Eagles. Head down to the comments. Let me know what you think the final score ends up being. Again, hopefully there won't be anything more and new coming out from the COVID standpoint for the Cowboys. I think there was a question asked about Mike McCarthy with Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb at the Mavs game, which I think Micah kind of sort of apologized for that one, which it's okay. I don't really blame the players that much. I just think it's stuff we're going to have to deal with. I do say this, though. Bubble up, probably time. Just hunker down to the star and avoid it. Just try to do everything possible, especially starting, for playoff time, to avoid transmission, avoid getting it. I know that's much easier said than done at this point, but you really don't want to have that be a reason or an excuse as to why you didn't end up having the best chance possible. Because in the playoffs, your margin for error really, really shrinks down. You're going to want to have everything possible in your favor to win those football games. So, look, the way the testing works, Tyron, Brown, Micah don't have to test, period, for 90 days right now. You guys can do the math. That takes you past the Super Bowl. So that's the brighter side of this. Keanu Neal, by the way, activated from the COVID list now after he missed 3 games already this year because of it. So hopefully not an issue for the Cowboys moving forward, but that is the news today. Tyron Smith, Anthony Brown, all placed on the COVID-19 list. Both placed, I should say. Micah Parsons formally ruled out. Brown and Smith aren't going to play either. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that's the end of the COVID issues right now for the Dallas Cowboys.